Look at the dark, choppy expanse of the Norwegian Sea. In 1944, these waters rarely rose above freezing. For crews on anti-submarine patrol, a mechanical failure or ditching in these swells meant the ocean became as immediate a threat as the enemy. Flight Lieutenant David "Pop" Hornell was an experienced commander navigating this environment. On the afternoon of June 24th, he was leading his crew through a routine sector. Their aircraft was a Catalina flying boat, a machine built for long-range endurance and carrying heavy depth charges. It was designed to loiter over the sea for hours, not to survive a high-stakes duel. When Hornell's crew spotted the U-boat 1225 on the surface, the submarine didn't dive. It turned its twin 20mm cannons and a 37mm flak gun directly at the approaching Catalina, filling the air with steel. The retaliation was devastating. German fire punctured the REU before an SOS was transmitted, and seconds later, the starboard engine erupted into an uncontrollable fire. Hornell was now piloting a fuel-fed bonfire. Aborting the run might save his crew from the fire, but it would leave the U-boat free to sink Allied ships. Pressing the attack meant flying a massive, slow-moving target directly into a wall of tracers. Hornell stayed on course. He wrestled with the controls as the fire began to melt the wing structure, fighting a violent drift to keep the nose of the plane pointed at the target. At the front of the aircraft, the gunner unleashed a continuous stream of fire from his Brownings, raking the submarine's conning tower to suppress the German gun crews. At the last possible second, Hornell released his payload. 4 depth charges splashed perfectly around the hull, detonating with enough force to send the U-boat to the bottom. But the victory was momentary. The fire was out, but the crew was now adrift. The mechanical victory had only served to deliver them to a much slower, deadlier enemy in the water. The survival situation was bleak from the start. Without a radio, no one knew where they were. To make matters worse, one of their 2 inflatable dinghies exploded, leaving 8 men with only enough raft space for 4. In these Arctic waters, the biological clock of hypothermia is ruthless. As this diagram shows, the body quickly abandons the extremities to protect the core, leaving limbs numb and useless. To fight this, Hornell organized a strict rotation. By moving men in and out of the raft, the diagram shows how brief periods out of the water provide temporary spikes in core temperature, delaying total shutdown. Hornell took the heaviest burden himself. He deliberately assigned himself the longest shifts in the freezing water, remaining immersed far longer than any other member of his crew. Over the next several hours, the crew spotted multiple rescue aircraft and fired their remaining flares, only to watch the planes fly over the horizon without seeing them. The cold eventually claimed crewman Fernand Laurent. In a final, agonizing command decision, Hornell pushed his friend's body overboard to prevent the raft from sinking under the weight. Hornell was now leading through a grim form of biological endurance. He used his own body as a buffer, soaking up the lethal cold to give his men a few more minutes of core warmth. After 21 hours adrift, high-speed rescue launch 2554 finally reached the coordinates. Hornell was in a state of total physical collapse. He was blinded by the salt water, and his body temperature had dropped to the absolute limit of human survival. As the sailors pulled his crew from the water, Hornell lay in the dinghy, listening as the last of his men reached safety. Only then, just as the bright rescue spotlight began to slowly fade from his vision, did he finally let go. Sailors aboard the rescue boat attempted to resuscitate him for 4 hours, but Hornell had given everything he had. He died shortly after his mission was complete. 5 of his crew members made full recoveries and survived the war because of the hours their commander bought for them in the freezing sea. For his actions, David Hornell was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest military honor for bravery in the face of the enemy. His story reveals the true weight of leadership. Sometimes protecting the team means defeating the elements just long enough to buy their lives with your own.